Hey everyone, welcome to the Sick Podcast. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm joined here by Joe and Dr. Mike Israetel. He is the co-founder of Renaissance Periodization. He's been on here before. This is round 2 of our interview. If you haven't seen round 1, there's going to be a link. And this is round 2, so there's already a part 1 on Dr. Mike's show. Make sure you click that and check it out because Mike has a lot of great points to drop. So thank you, Dr. Mike, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Love being on with you guys.
Happy to be here. Great times. So for this part, we could probably talk about whatever, anything y'all want to talk about. We could talk about AI job loss. I know Joe wanted to jump into your political values, things like that. So maybe I thought, there's so much hype about AI job loss, and I don't think there's a lot of people who talk about like how these models really work. And maybe we can just do like a high level, quick conversation about how an LLM works. And I created a slide here by using this wonderful service called Gamma, because Dr. Mike, the way I create slides, they're terrible. They suck. They're really bad. With Gamma, they've made my life much easier.
So it's AI powered?
AI powered. You just give it some notes and it creates all of these beautiful slides with also really nice pictures and things like that. Yeah, let me see if I can. Yeah, it picks the color gradients.
What's that lady doing? What's that workflow?
It looks. Do you know what it looks like? A Minority
Fusion
Report
reactor.
with
exactly.
She's figuring out who's doing a crime in the future. So I'm going to go over real quick like how an LLM works, but also Joe, I'd love for you to jump into. But like this is kind of the 80-20 crash course on it. So these LLMs like ChatGPT are trained on massive amounts of text data, like basically the whole crawl of the internet. And then when the AI researchers do this, they teach these models to just look at words and try to predict the next word that makes logical sense. And so once it's done training all this, these things just return mass strings of text that makes sense, but it's mostly focusing on just next word prediction. But you can't really ask it questions. You can't do anything with it. So then the second part, what they do is they do reinforcement learning with human feedback. They will show the model, okay, when I ask you this question of like, why is it important for you to work out? You should respond in a bulleted response, explaining like the key aspects of working out. And then they show it to this model. And then after the model sees it in more and more iterations, it's then able to then, when people ask it certain questions about working out, it will answer in a response that makes sense, and it's in a format that people can understand. And this is kind of like a crash course. There's much more into it. Like after they do the human feedback, they might then train another model that can automate this feedback process, which saves a lot of money. And then from there, before you can message ChatGPT, there's a thing called a system prompt, which is what the user does not see. And it basically tells the system, okay, don't go into these touchy political issues. If someone asks me a question of how to make a nuclear bomb, don't give me the full information, plead the fifth. If someone's asking about chemical warfare, blah, blah, don't answer them. And so that's kind of like how all these models work. And a lot of folk have been hearing recently news about, hey, there's going to be a white-collar bloodbath.
Bloodbath. There's going to be dead white-collar people, Jordan. My mom is a white-collar worker. Is she going to die?
Yes, she's going to die. Yeah. Me and Joe are going to die. We're all done. Only thing that's going to be left
is... The language model wants to kill your mama.
Wants to kill you, and then the only thing left is going to be OnlyFans creators. That's about
it.
So,
thank God.
Right, exactly. So Dario came through and basically said AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs and a spike in unemployment to 10 to 20% in the next 1 to 5 years. And then we had this executive from Microsoft saying, I see the bottom rung of the career ladder breaking, explain how AI is doing it. And then we have these gentlemen here from Anthropic saying that within 5 years, based upon the current technology, LLMs will take all white-collar jobs. There'll be nothing left, and we're all doomed.
Bloodbath.
Yes. So we're all screwed. But then at the same time, for people who are seeing how these models are being trained and how complex some of our jobs are, realize that, wait a minute, can you get a reward model for saying if someone is a CEO and has to determine which market to jump into, which product to kill, maybe which product to pivot on, or the politics involved in your organization? We also know that for a law, It's legally mandated that a judge has to be a human in order to look over your case and things like that. And there's all these other nuances. Like I think in the long run, of course, tech is going to continue to take over jobs and everything. But as the old saying, in the long run, we're all dead either by AI or too much OnlyFans or whatnot. But saying that everyone's going to lose their jobs next 5 years because of these LLMs and white collar work, I think it's a stretch. But Joe, Dr. Mike, love to hear what your thoughts are on this.
Joe, what do you think?
I think everyone's trying to grab the microphone and stay in the press cycle. Like that's my impression for what Dario's doing. He's not as good at it as Sam is, but I just feel like these announcements don't seem to have any purpose but to keep the spotlight on him and his company.
Oh boy, do I have a politically incorrect take on this. Maybe. We'll see. So I think that human intelligence plus computer use agentic models will be able to do like multiples more and better work than many current white collar jobs can. Soon, within a year or two, comfortably within 2 years. And about a year after that, they're going to be super intelligent, which means like you're going to want a lot of these models working with you at your company. Eventually, I think these models become your advisor for what to do at every level of your job, including CEO. And eventually after that, they're less your advisor and more of your coach telling you what to do. And you're like, are you sure? And they're like, would you like me to patiently explain the reasoning? And you're like, fuck that. You're too smart. I don't even understand that shit. You've never been wrong. And now I'm a trillionaire. So just keep telling me what to do. That I think is inevitable. So yes, I do think within 5 years, quote unquote, all white collar jobs are gone. However, there is, and that statement I think is true. The stuff we bake into it comes straight from the land of already well repudiated economic fallacy. And there's like the first fallacy here is like the fixed pie fallacy. Like the number of jobs we currently have are not all of the jobs that could be. Okay, so what are the jobs that could be? It's a very easy philosophical discussion. What is the purpose of jobs? It is to supply a demand. What is a demand? It is what people are willing and able to pay for. Human needs and human wants are the reason any jobs exist, like other than government mandate jobs, which exist just to spend money and give politicians the ability to say, I created jobs. But actual useful jobs are just to supply a demand. If AI comes in and is now supplying the demand for all white collar work, we have a beautiful thing that has happened. We now have millions of former white collar employees that find themselves without work. And guess what? Did you guys know that the construction industry is like factor of 10 underemployed? The industries for leisure, for tourism, for about a dozen other things we know, and dozens of things we don't know, just doesn't exist. Let me ask you guys a question. Watch this. Let's say tomorrow we said, hey, look, all of our farming machines are broken and gone. We need humans back in the fields. Is there a work problem? No, hell no. Zero unemployment. Amazing. We're back in the sun with hose and digging ditches and fuck that. No, thank you. And then if you were to tell Benjamin Franklin or something, hey man, we have 350 million Americans in 2025. We actually can't spare hardly more than 1% for farming. He'd be like, what the fuck else what are these people doing? Like, well, like a lot of people like social media managers. It's like, what the hell is that? Like, that's going to take a long time to describe. And so as AI empowers white collar work, it won't, first of all, just delete entire fields of jobs. What it'll do, the first jobs it takes are the ones where like, I would like an intern to do a job. We face this at RP all the time. I want an intern to do a job. I don't have any interns. Everyone I look to has their own fucking YouTube channel and their own app. Ain't nobody left. So we just don't have anyone doing half our jobs. They just don't go fill. Now we're going to be able to fill those jobs up. The people at our company that do white collar work take a step back from people that do the work to people that coordinate swarms of AI agents to do the work. Now we have a human in the loop plus all of the power of AI. And, like for at least a while, you kind of want some human people to check some of the work. And if we can't keep everyone at RP, let's say RP is an ecosystem, as a microcosm, we're going to have to tell some folks, hey, listen, you know what? It's time for us to kind of go our separate ways. Here's the thing. Now every human is empowered with AI agents. So you can go off and do your own thing. The number of jobs left over is more than the number of jobs you could ever count, because we don't even know what jobs still need to be done but don't get filled. So it's
Right.
totally possible to simultaneously have agents that take over almost every white collar job and see zero net 5-on-5 year job loss. By the way, is that crazy? Is that optimism? It's happened in every single industrial transformation in the history of recorded econometrics.
Mhm.
There's like, where is the mass unemployment caused by the rise of industry, you know, first industrial, second industrial
Mhm.
revolution, third
Mhm.
industrial? It just never happened. And now we're into nonsense jobs. Here's a job I got for you guys. If you, there's an epidemic of loneliness in the United States, it's
Mhm.
massive. Okay, is there somewhere I can pay people to come through and just hang out with me? No, there's not enough people. People are at work.
Actually, you
Now,
can hire someone for that in Japan. There are businesses that will send a friend to come and spend
yes,
time with you and
yes,
hang out with
yes.
you.
Amazing, right? We could
Hmm.
have like 50 times more of that, but people need to go work at Chipotle. Another thing is this. Every time I'm out in the world, I notice how many jobs are either getting done slowly or not getting done. And then
Hmm.
people talk about, we don't want people to lose their jobs. Please God, somebody lose your job so we can just instantly hire you up. The Chipotle, this is my usual fucking grandstand. The Chipotle in town, I live in Brighton, Michigan with my wife. The Chipotle in town is closed like a third of the time because there's just not enough fucking college students to just to work the job. They're like, hey,
Really?
yes, the building is like, hey, like they'll put a sign up that says, hey, sorry, we don't have anyone coming in today. And it's just fucking closed. Where the fuck are my robots? Where are the burrito robots? I
Well,
don't
this is
have any
actually a
burrito
really good
robots.
point, though, because if we have the white collar job change where ML systems replace those white collar workers, one theory is that a lot of them can be reemployed doing things that you need a person to physically carry out some
Yes,
task.
yes,
Then behind that, we have the humanoid robot introduction kind of
yes.
coming along. And I would guess, I don't know, another 10 years after LLMs are good enough, we have humanoid robots and they're cheap enough and widely
Yep,
available.
yep. Joseph, this is a phenomenal point. This is something I think actually today it should be being this video should be posted on the my progress channel, Mike Israetel YouTube channel, and it is a hypothesis I have that I think carries some weight. Here's how it
Mm.
sounds. the the first AI boost is going to be computer use, agentic AI, not real physical AI in the world, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so once computer use AI comes along, it's going to first be a massive helper, and then eventually it's going to be a massive leader in like corralling people to do work. The problem is if you are an AI that you don't need any white collar help because you can instantiate clones of yourself to do 50 trillion times better, faster, cheaper white collar work.
Yep.
You look at whatever corporation you happen to be in. Let's say like Google has a artificial superintelligence take over Google operations and every single white collar job. Then the next thing they go is like, okay, what can't we do yet from the computer?
Mhm.
Anything requiring physical manipulation of real world objects. Okay, cool. How is the robot shit coming along? Look, you guys know me. I'm a humongous optimist, exponentialist, accelerationist, all that shit. I don't think we're going to have enough robots to really make a meaningful dip in total employment potentially, like really come through and help humans do physical work for another 5 to 10 years, man. I mean,
Oh, at
if you just
least.
look at like at least the thing is, I think super intelligence is going to make such incredible, elaborate designs for super efficient factories that when we do start building real dedicated robot factories in the late 2020s, they're going to start spooling out robots way faster than we thought they could. Then some of the robots go to work for those factories, they multiply.
Mhm.
That's going to happen. But I've done a lot of modeling with like O3 and a lot of my own head to show like, look, 5 years is psychotically optimistic. 10 years is still optimistic. 15
Mhm.
years is a little pessimistic, but maybe realistic. And so what we're looking at is a real this next generation. The big thing in the economy is, I think, the following. AIs are real fucking good on a computer, real smart, really helping orchestrate everything. It looks around and goes, okay, I have to do this task. I have to maximize corporate revenue ethically. I'm taking care of all the back end, all the server farm shit, all the computer use stuff, all the social media. I got no problem. Okay. What about like really doing the job in the real world?
Yep.
Well, I got primates around. They sort of made me. Thanks, guys. I guess I'm going
This
to
is
employ
the
them. I don't have
mechanical
any
Turk
robots.
solution.
Exactly. Where humans are the mechanical Turk situation. And until they get fields of robots, they're going to have to rely on humans. And here's the thing, we have jobs at all because really smart humans who run corporations are so amazing at creating. They can take us with them to help them create what they want to create. Steve Jobs made the iPhone. The rest of the people that work at Apple are just fucking following in his wake. When you have artificial super intelligence, JK, I mean, obviously with all the caveats and stuff like that, they're helping execute that vision. Artificially super intelligent machines are going to see so many market opportunities to create incredible value. I think the unemployment stays negative fucking perpetually because they're just going to have more uses for humans than humans ever had for us. Like, what do dogs do in the wild? They try to kill stuff. They sleep in little curled up bunches with each other. They sniff their ass. Not a whole lot gets done. What do humans? If you say humans, how can you make use of dogs? But they're sniffing bombs at the fucking airport and saving people from rock slides and stuff in the Swiss Alps. All kinds of crazy shit dogs would have never come up with on their own. I think artificial superintelligence takes all of the humans on the planet that are willing to work. It goes, dude, come through, man. $200 an hour. Come through. No problem. Do you guys know how much they're going to pay people to physically do the construction on data centers? I mean, like, construction workers make, by the way, if you guys know this, construction workers make unbelievable money. Like, it used to be in the 90s, oh, construction, that's a tough gig and doesn't pay a lot. Nowadays, it's like they still want that kind of, all jokes, all love and respect construction workers, but they, you know, it's goddamn construction. They get $100 an hour, you guys. That's what
Well,
construction
especially the
workers make
guys who
nowadays.
know how to make something like a data center.
And a lot of it, but here's the, yes, but a lot of it's like, we just pour in like 2 football fields worth of concrete. You don't have to know shit. You just do a concrete pourer. You are needed. You are getting paid $200 an hour to do that shit because that's how much value you're creating. Just a little bit of change for you is no problem. I think that's the paradigm. And then once robots are really mature in the mid 2030s, once there's enough of them to really start to not need to employ as many humans, humans port off into one of two things. One is professions only humans can do. Like, I need a human for this. I need a human to talk to. No simulacra of robot will do because I need an actual human. There's a bunch of jobs like that. The other thing is, I honestly think it just doesn't matter much because what robots are going to do for the gross domestic product is maybe one of the currently most underappreciated things in economics. If you have a robot that costs $50,000 to make and support for 5 years, total cost, and it can generate $250,000 of worth of value over that time in the economy doing a job. It's okay. So if we just make more robots, do we just linearly print value? Yeah, that's correct. And so with a 10% on robot tax, all of humanity can be making $900 an hour in the mid 2030s just for existing, and it just doesn't fucking matter anymore. Like, universal, not basic income, universal basic prosperity is at that point nominal. Like, how difficult is it for the government of ancient Greece to feed all of its people? Maybe impossible. Like, some starvation's baked in. How difficult is it for the US government to feed every American? Feed, like, with food, like, nominally easy? We have obesity,
Kind of
the biggest problem
overdoing
we
it.
have,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how easily would a billion unit, 10 billion unit robotic workforce of the mid 2030s support all humans nominally for their bullshit human needs? Plug into a VR, have a little sex, have some food, travel the world a little bit. Humans don't need much. Man, it's so easy that it might just be like, oh no, humans don't have work to do. Like, no big deal. You have all the money you want. Now you just do passion projects. And to be honest, you guys hang out with VC people. They don't need to work. Like, they just do whatever they want. More passion projects.
Go on Twitter and then go on the All In podcast, basically.
So
So
their motivation is completely competitive, not sustaining.
And funny enough, that is what I've been talking to ChatGPT a lot about, the future of human work. And it's like, look, like sports, dancing, various video game competitions, no one cares what machines can do. There's not going to be a machine versus human basketball league. There's sure shit going to be humans versus humans at every single level. And people can make a lot of money for that. I think people sort of forget how much of our economy is for fluff entertainment only. It's a humongous fraction of our economy. And that fraction can grow exponentially to absorb any number of people. So I think the people that say we're going to have mass unemployment when GPTs come in and take people's jobs are misunderstanding two things at least. One is the fact that now that you have more help, you can do more work. And you're going to be like, hey, we're not going to bring you in to sit and type on a computer. We're going to bring you in to go walk around New York City and talk to real people about our product because the GPT can't do that yet. And then we're still hiring you. Get in here. Talented people are really, really valuable. Another thing is you guys have worked in business long enough. If you're remotely intelligent, average intelligence, and I can depend on you to do a thing, get in here. You're worth something for sure. And with AI empowering all these workflows, you're probably worth a lot more than you were. And so that they underestimate. And the other thing they underestimate is once you have really, really powerful AIs helping people make business decisions, the quality of business gets much better. The kind of companies and values you can produce gets much better. And then all of a sudden, like, well, we need even more people to fulfill all those roles. Like if you told Jeff Bezos, hey, Amazon can now hire like double the number of people. Can you employ that number? He'd be like, can you give me 10, please? 10 times the number would be great. I don't think there's a top end limit for a lot of shit.
You made the point
Jordan,
earlier
you're looking
too
pissed.
that, products are always improving and people's desires are constantly expanding.
Yep.
I think Bezos described this really well in one of his annual reports where he talked about customers will always want it better, faster, cheaper.
Yes.
You sort of refer to them as, I want to say, like wonderfully dissatisfied, I think was his phrase.
It's a nice way to say it when you're like stabbing yourself with a pencil. Earnings report comes in, like, God damn it! Looking at user reviews, I hear that.
Well, from his perspective, because they're never satisfied, there's always more room for them to improve and introduce better and additional products, right?
Yep. Well, there it is. We will continue to make investment decisions in light of long-term market leadership considerations rather than short-term profitability considerations or short-term Wall Street reactions. Focusing on the long term allows the interests of your customers who want better and faster services cheaper and the interests of your stakeholders who want a return on investment to come into alignment. That's not always true in the short term. Yeah, I mean, like short-term stuff is really a bit wacky sometimes in the corporate world. I mean, I've had friends work for less than scrupulous companies before where they would, for example, like they were selling, I can't get into the details here as it would dox myself, but they're selling like computer systems and they have to sell a certain number by like a quarter. And what they would do is they would get the sale on paper to go tell their middle manager they have, like, I posted 5 million last quarter. They get their bonus. But the reality is, like, the system they sold doesn't even exist yet. And so inevitably the company was not going to get delivery on time. And so that short-term incentive thing is a really weird thing. I think in the long term, all of this stuff is going to be work out with bumps for sure. And here's what people will absolutely lose jobs to AI. Some number of people will. The other thing, because we all have worked in the real world before, this is going to sound really harsh. I mean it, grain of salt. A lot of times the people that lose their jobs in these corporate transitions, these cycles, are just normal fucking everyday hardworking good people. There's just, sorry, your whole department's gone. More often than average, the people that lose their jobs are people everyone in the department is thanking God we can finally let go because they're persnickety, curmudgeony assholes. It was just a matter of we just didn't have anyone to replace you. Now that AI is here, go to hell. And so a lot of the people that, like, I've known people have consistently lost work over the years here and there. And sometimes those people are like, yeah, I know you. You are not a cooperative person who I would ever in my right mind employ. And everyone you're sending your resume to should know that. I'm kidding, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting points. During the Industrial Revolution in the UK, they had this period of time called Engels Pause, where there was much more productivity in the economy, yet workers' real wages were not increasing until like 50 or some odd years later. And I think also what's interesting is, let's say there's all these white collar workers who are making good 6-figure salaries, and then it turns out that AI takes their jobs or something, and I'm completely wrong. In 5 years, AI takes it all. You have this gigantic debt overhang people have to deal with. They still have their mortgage, they still have their way of life, and then for them to then say, "Let's go into an experience job, focus, or just a new AI related job," can they get the same wages? Is there going to be market competition that's going to push down those wages? It feels like there should be some type of deflationary impact at some point. So
Sure.
be interesting to see how this all fleshes out.
Yeah. It'll definitely, if AI causes a very catastrophic effect on the economy, it will be the first time a technological innovation does that on the aggregate. And I suspect that it's going to be the opposite. I suspect that it's going to be a massive empowering situation. Unless you are niched down into doing a job, you have zero flexibility and you are uninterested in changing your ways. Like if you're a typewriter repair person in the early 90s, you may not continue to do that job. Some jobs they have so much trouble hiring for that once you get let go, they don't even replace it with an AI because they don't need it anymore. You were doing a job that was kind of on its way out. One interesting thing was, do you guys remember, Andrew Yang, presidential candidate from back, and he was talking about we need to prepare with the universal basic income because AI is going to take jobs and all the truckers will be out of work. Just saw a pretty interesting NBC YouTube little piece, 10-minute piece on a trucking company that's testing successfully now, actually now rolling out with AI trucking, right? Just totally self-driving trucks.
Yep.
And what they interviewed trucking company people, and they were like, "Are you worried about this affecting truckers' jobs?" And they're like, "Absolutely not." And they're like, "What do you mean? Like, they're just going to take their jobs?" Like, all right, check this out. Things you don't know about trucking. One, nobody's going into trucking. Young people don't become truckers anymore, but for 2%. So if we don't get AI, we're not going to be able to deliver you packages, goods, and services at the rates we need them. Which, by the way, we already can't deliver at the rates we need to. We're barely struggling along.
Yep.
Secondly, these guys are getting old and retiring, and they're out. And third, the guys that are going to be displaced, like 30 or 40-year-old truckers that are going to be displaced by self-driving trucks, thank God, because we need their human intuition and brains and hands in our distribution centers and for truck logistics centers so that they're actually like they've been a trucker before. They know all of the intricacies of that. They'll be just inseparably valuable in the receiving room and in the shipping room to have that on hand to coordinate everything. Those guys already have jobs with us. We're not going to fire anybody. We can't fire anyone. We have too much work to do. We need all the help we can get. I think that's the story for most of the economy, is if you're a competent person, you are going to get mopped up. Is there, Jordan, to your question, is there a possibility your wages are going to fall? Yeah, there's a possibility, a transitional period, and then they rise after that. But in most of these things, wages don't even fall or fall a little bit, and then they go right the hell back up way past. A good example is like a lot of people work as social media managers. And if you were to tell someone in the year 2005 what that job was, they're going to be like, shut up, dude. That's not a real job. Like, you're telling me I just go scroll around and post emojis and get people excited and answer messages. And all of a sudden, like, that's $80,000 a year and I get to live in San Francisco. Like, like, but I don't even need an education for that. I just need to be a kind person who like uses autocorrect. Like, yeah, that's all you're going to need. Like, bullshit. Like, I need to go get an accounting degree. Like, nope, that's really how real life is. Because AI empowers humans so much, I think it's going to be able to extract as much value out of humans as possible, which is more than we can do by ourselves.
Right. I think we have
Go ahead, Jordan.
I was going to say, I think what America has going for it, as dark as this sounds, a demographic shift of the baby boomer generation retiring out, and then the following generations were not as big, and so we have all these open jobs and roles, and so AI and robotics could hit us at maybe a sweet point where it turns out that we're not going to see as much deflation as we expected, and it's a nice off ramp for people in different careers. But go ahead, Joe.
I think there's Mike sort of addressed this tangentially, but there's a definite failure of imagination in our scenarios where we can't even conceive of the jobs that will be created. Like, we literally can't even make them up. You know, if you had told me there'd be people who were social media managers and professional video game players,
what,
30 or 40 years ago, I'd have been like, my parents get mad at me for playing too much video games. The idea that I could do that as a job, are you insane? It didn't matter how good you were at it. Couldn't do it as a job.
Do you
Right.
guys remember Far Side Comics? The Far Side
Yep.
comic strip?
Jared Larson.
Amazing. I had the calendar one year and I read through it multiple times to get all the great jokes. And there was a phenomenal piece. I'm sure you could bring it up on the internet. It was a kid playing on his Nintendo and two parents looking on in the room like lovingly, and their thought bubbles were newspaper clippings of future jobs. And it's like, can you save the princess? $100,000 and a new car. And it just said like hopeful parents. And it turns out like that's not a joke. Oh wow, that was fast. There you go. There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
And like, well, professional gaming is insanely lucrative. And this was a joke then. And the reason it was funny is, oh, come on, he's never going to be paid for this. And now it's like, yeah, he sure as shit is. And it's a lot of money. And you would never think that's a real thing. And the other thing is like, never mind video game testing, video game design. Here's one, guys, ready? Gaming, video games, especially once they cross that threshold of being AR video games, AR, VR video games, with AI generated and large language model based conversational partners, is going to be an industry that 10x's and then 10x's again and then 10x's again. So where the fuck are we going to get every human to test the game like that and every human to play the game like that? I don't know. There's just not enough humans to do that. And so all these people currently sitting in a fucking dark dungeon somewhere doing manual data entry that the AIs could already do better. I pray to God those people lose their jobs so they can have better jobs doing better shit.
No, that's a good point. I believe in the creative destruction nature of just when new technology comes out. And I think on the VC and founder side, they will push the new jobs are going to be created. And I think it's great. We couldn't even conceptualize the idea of, oh yeah, these mail clerks in the 1940s, all that's going to be digitized and we're going to have email based and it's going to go away. But then those people are going to work as admins and things like that. And then on the destruction side, though, you will have more focus on, okay, here's what we do today that we don't like doing. Like you mentioned data creation or just reviewing comments on Facebook to see if there's pornographic material. I remember a decade ago, we were talking about this is giving people PTSD, which it was, because that's what it was for a job. And now those jobs are gone. And then you'll have people complaining about, well, what about those jobs? It's like, well, it wasn't my jobs. It's hard for me to say, but those jobs are like smoking cigarettes to the brain and destroying you and giving you brain rot. So now they're gone. 100%. So yeah, we're not very good at conceptualizing what these new jobs are going to be going forward. And that's okay, because it's like asking someone who is in the pre-industrial revolution to say, okay, what are the jobs going to be after the industrial revolution? It'll be like, I guess, farming. Yeah,
we're not only not good at imagining them, but if someone came from the future and told us what they would be, we wouldn't believe them.
Yeah, we'd be incredulous. We'd be like,
there's just no way you're going to get paid $1 million a year to play a video game and have hundreds of thousands of people watching you over the internet on a live stream. No one would have believed you if you'd said that 30 years ago.
It's ridiculous. And you can even see transition phases for these kinds of jobs. So for example, back in the 1950s, almost nobody had a personal trainer. And if you did, you were rich. I mean, loaded. And, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 15s, personal training is skyrocketing. More and more people have trainers. But still, not enough people have personal trainers, and a lot of people would want a personal trainer or sure shit need one that they just don't have access to. But there's just not enough young people to go do that. There's just not enough people involved in training. Just think about what fraction of humans train with weights in America. I mean, it might be maybe a quarter of all Americans
go to the
gym.
This is a really good example, and one that you're in a perfect position to sort of comment on. But let's assume that the number of personal trainers could skyrocket. Just explode.
Yeah.
Then wouldn't I fill the demand by having humanoid robots that were very good personal trainers? Or would people reject them as wanting or more valuing a human being as their trainer?
Great question. So there's two transitions. One is from almost no one as a trainer to people have human trainers, but never enough. The second transition is people have human trainers, but can't get enough. So the people that can't get a human trainer eventually get a robot trainer. So it's two transitions. The robot trainer question is an excellent question. There are two parts to that answer. Part one is a robot trainer is going to do an unbelievable job at training you.
Mhm. Super
Objectively.
patient, never bored,
Right.
never
Never
checks out
bored,
some cute
sees
girl in
every
the.
technique cue that could get you hurt,
Mhm.
sees every, oh, you're putting your feet a little too far forward. It's going to catch everything. Don't
Yep.
worry, we'll be training them at RP. Like, it's tons of video data. You just have to tell them what to look for.
Yep.
However, they've never experienced the pump. They've never had pain in the muscles. They don't know what it feels like when your tendon's about to go, and they have never grown themselves. That's a big deal. And so you have a situation there where you either have a robot that was trained by lots of humans who have real world experience and you trust them, like the RP, like my robot API is the RP hypertrophy app, and those guys know stuff. So my robot's going to be good. But there is a unique value to a human who has done the thing, which probably just costs more now. So then once everyone has like almost free robot to train them, if you want next level results, you might get a human, and humans are going to be real expensive. Because what I was going to say, the reason I brought up personal training is, on the one hand, I want to live in a world where everyone has a human trainer. The thing is, we physically don't have enough people for that, because maybe 50 or 70 million Americans go to the gym. Are there really 50 to 70 million young people that all are going to be personal trainers? There's not even that many young people. There's not even that many people in graduating in exercise science programs ever, area under the curve for the entire time they've existed. It's an order of magnitude problem. It's like climbing trees to get to the moon. You're not going to solve it. But also, like, is personal training amazing? It can be, if it's conversational, if it's motivational. But if it's just telling people 1 rep, 2 rep, 3 rep, good job, Susan, 5 reps, 6 reps, after a while, it's mind numbing. It's like monkey see, monkey do type of stuff. It's back to truck driver land. We're like, I don't want people to lose their truck driving jobs.
Perfect
You know what it's
job
like
for
to
the
be
AI.
a fucking truck driver? Like, perfect job for the AI. So it's one of those things where, yeah, AI can help a ton. First of all, by empowering personal trainers to do a better job. Second of all, by augmenting them with robotic assistance. And eventually people can trust robots, but humans in the loop for something very human, still important. And then we're just never going to run out of demand for human trainers at that rate, because there's just not that many people that are interested in training you. And they're going to be pretty expensive still, because humans are very finite resource. You can always print more robots. You can't print more humans. And so, we think, oh man, there's going to be so many unemployed humans. The ratio of robots to humans is eventually going to be 10x, 20x, 50x, and then humans are a very rare thing indeed. They also, one thing I love it, not even doomers, people don't even qualify as doomers. Sensationalists in media like to do is entertain two mutually exclusive criticisms at the same time. They'll simultaneously say, AI is taking our, it's going to take our jobs, and they'll be like, we're running out of people. Like, people aren't breeding fast enough. Okay, which one? How can both of those things be true at the same time? Is it we have too many people and not enough jobs, or not enough people and too many jobs? And at the end of the day, I realize why they do it. They don't even connect those two thoughts. Each one of those is a fucking awesome headline to put on an article and a video.
Too much.
That's as far as they've ever thought about it.
Yeah, you're asking too much of them.
Yeah.
I think you raised an interesting point about these transitions, and you actually suggested a third potential transition, which is there's certain things that an AI wouldn't know because it was not embodied like a person from the beginning, and it didn't go through the developmental process of growing up. Right? But I could conceive of constructing a robot that did go through that process at the same rate as a person and training an AI through that.
How would you do it if it was anything short of, like, had cells and tissues and was made of collagen and was biological?
I mean, there's already biological robotic hybrids being developed, so that's not that far away. But to your point, it would have to grow and develop, and I think that will also be created. So, we're talking probably 100 years from now, but at some point, it is possible that you could imagine training an AI through a development process such that it actually felt that the same way that a person would.
Or it adds aggregated enough verbal feedback and video feedback metadata that it could infer roughly you feel like this. Like, ChatGPT has never had an emotional problem it has to deal with, but it sure as shit knows how to talk to you about emotional problems really well, because it's read every Reddit post of everyone having an emotional breakdown ever, and every psychology book and all that stuff. So I think at the limit, there's no differentiation between human and robot because you can now scan in human brains into, the cloud. And then we live in either doom, depending on some people, or magical fairy tale land, depending on others. So I think with enough capability, all these problems are like not even problems anymore.
That's another way to
People
achieve
are
that result.
100%. Because if you have like totally biomimetic robot, like why not? We know that much about the brain and everything, so I can just clone me. But I think is there a possibility that we see some rough employment stuff? Yes, I would say most of that would be through regulatory problems. Like so for example, this is a very, very well documented economic problem, and it's the problem of having too much regulation tell you if you're officially allowed to do a certain job. Like in many states in the United States, you can't cut hair without a license. What the fuck? So if the licensing organization doesn't see fit to grant more licenses because it doesn't want competition, it can create temporary instances of unemployment. If you have totally fluid employment with no regulatory burden, yeah, you get the market mops people up like crazy. And by the way, for several years running now, we have had a functionally negative unemployment rate. I just want people to know that right now, the U.S. economy is short about 500,000 to 1 million jobs, period. That's to say 500,000 to 1 million jobs they exist. Nobody does them. So we can freak out about large language models taking jobs. I'd prefer to freak out about it if someone really demonstrated to me a really convincing case that, like, look, we know how many total jobs there are in the economy, or could be, and then AI is just going to take all of them. And then the next question you have to ask is like, so such a massive freed up labor pool, no innovator is going to sop that up and make a company to like. Right now, a lot of companies can't even be made because you're never going to be attract labor for them.
Yeah, I was going to say a Google Plus parlance. I plus one what you mentioned. Sorry, that's defunct product no one knows about anymore. But when ChatGPT,
Google Plus was
you're right.
Yeah,
I'm right.
You're right.
When ChatGPT came out, we were seeing people in India they were taking it up. It seemed at a faster rate than the Americans were because they realized, oh wait a minute, this thing can do image generation, which is what I do on Fiverr and charge $5 for image. I can now use this and put out more images, make more money. And then we also saw that the number of Fiverr jobs went down by 17% after ChatGPT got released. But then what people were getting paid increased. So you saw people putting out much more quality work. And then you also saw some people who were just like, okay, I can go to ChatGPT directly to generate those images. I like your point about there's only so many personal trainers that we have available at different price points too. Because if you think about that, you could just put in lawyers. You also put in doctors and other qualified professionals that we need. Like, for instance, for just doctors, there's so many places around the world where there's maybe remote villages or areas where you can't get a doctor or get help. Right. And being able to have ChatGPT that's read so much medical textbook and different types of or studying images of the body. Yes, it's going to make mistakes and things like that. But for some people who don't even have the access to a doctor, that's a dramatic improvement to what they could be getting. And then if you put a doctor in a loop, maybe there's certain doctors that are older, retired out, but can't get these certain areas, but can serve as another sense of like a second guess or a check over the completions of some of these models. I mean, now you're going to get ability to bring on more doctors onto the market and helping more folks. So go ahead.
Sorry, real quick, Jordan. Joseph, you mentioned earlier that like it's tough to hypothesize what future jobs could even be. It's tough. It's not impossible. One quick thing is just to look in your life and your experience to see where could I use more people and real humans. And so just offhand, do we have enough teachers? No. Do we have enough nurses? Not even close. Every minute that a patient in hospice spends alone is terror. No human should have to be alone in the hospital at night and have to press a button for the nurse that has 50 other people to tend to eventually come over and be like, hey, how are you? Why can't we have everyone who's at the hospital have a concierge with them that tends to their every need as needed? Like, how many people would we need for that? Hundreds of millions, tens of millions? We don't have enough people. In a sense, quote unquote, I pray to God everyone who does white collar work loses a job as fast as possible so we can take them into jobs like that, for which the only reason we don't have people is because we just don't have enough people. Here's another one. AI tutors are going to be able to, especially agentic tutors, are going to be able to take front and back take care of the entire educational process of children on academic work. No problem. No problem. And then so you ask, okay, so we don't need teachers anymore. Now hold on a second. Kids need two things out of school. Three things. One is actual learning. Two is socialization. And three is being somewhere taken care of so their parents can go to work. 2 and 3 require an infinite number of humans. So AI is not helping anytime soon to like physically teach, like be there with kids to make sure they don't punch each other in the face, give them that tender love and care that only another human can, help them socialize with other children, learn verbal cues, learn how to play. That is something we're doing. Like, I don't know, you guys went to school in America. It's okay. Like it's not great. We could use so much more help on that front. There's nobody tending to homeless people. There's nobody at the hospitals who gives a shit. When I have to go to some kind of car rental place, I have to stand in front of a stupid fucking kiosk and there's no human to help me. There's a one human for 50 of us. There's lots and lots of places for more humans in the economy. And the only reason they do white collar work right now is that is highest ROI and there's no one else to do it. As soon as someone gobbles that up, all those people are free to do all the jobs we have right now times 10. I mean, you think about it like paralegals. Are paralegals in trouble? Yeah, probably. Do you like doing the job of a paralegal? Who says they like that job? Come on, fellas. You're a competent person. Don't you want to help someone manage their social media in a way that like only a human can? Maybe that's much better work. And they're kind of legally, they know what's going on. So they're never going to approve any content that is going to get you in trouble. And, like all the way down the line, I honestly think that concept balloons into every human is empowered with even more choices right now compared to 200 years ago. 200 years ago, you might have been a blacksmith because that's what your dad did, or you starved to death. One choice. 100 years ago, you could go farm, you could go factory, maybe clerical work. That's like maybe 3 or 4 literal jobs you could do. Do you guys remember back in school, they did the work career fair. You're going to be an FBI agent and you're going to be like, there's just like 20 or 30 jobs everyone did. Nowadays, how many jobs can you do? Like, could you go and get? I don't know. Like, I don't know that many jobs, you guys. It's hundreds. I think during and post AI, that number inflates again by 10x. So instead of job loss, we're going to see people being like, yeah, man, I'm just kind of struggling with meaning because there's so many great jobs to do. I just don't know which one I want to do. Like, I think that's the bigger problem instead of everyone's out of work. I know that sounds crazy and hopefully, I'll clown myself after 2028 Great Depression sets in and people are stabbing me in the face at home. But
and if we have the economic situation that gives us the resources, the money to pay people to do the kind of jobs you were describing, like if we decided to have every person in hospice have a person dedicated to taking care of them on rotation during 24 hours of the day, we would need a certain number of willing and trained people to do that job, and we'd have to be able to pay for it, assuming that not everyone has the money to pay for someone in their last months. But it seems like a worthwhile thing to do if we can afford it. So then the only question is, do we have the resources to afford it?
And I think if you get to print labor on demand through AI-powered digital agents, the marginal cost of labor is tiny. The marginal benefit is whatever, $20, $30, $40, $50 an hour that it generates for you. That's a money press. I think we're going to be in a huge economic expansion. And then again, after every economic expansion, you get all kinds of jobs that people thought there's no fucking way this is a real job. Like you guys remember during COVID, people were like, I'm an essential worker. That was a tough job to define because everyone realized almost no one's an essential worker if you think about it. Like, I think just more and more of that is the future.
I think there's the period where people are changing their profession because their old job became obsolete.
Yeah.
And then there's a question of, does this accelerate? How long does it take for someone to find the new kind of job? And then if it continues to accelerate, there's the possibility that a single individual has to learn and take on multiple jobs in their lifetime. You gave the example of someone becoming a blacksmith. Presumably that's their only job for their whole life.
100%.
right? And I think right now it's normal for people to have maybe a second or even a third career.
Mhm.
And my guess is if this continues, there'll be a time when someone might have 10 or 15 jobs in their lifetime.
Yes. Yes. The really cool thing, and I think a lot of people underestimate this, is all of us are about to get personalized AI agents. They're
Mhm.
going to run your finances. They're going to invest your money for you. They're going to make sure people get called to clean your pipes in your house whenever those go bad. And they'll also be massive life advisors because they're going to be so wise and so intelligent. And what they can do is, instead of you being like sitting in an office job and being like, fuck, I hope AI doesn't take this job. I just got it. I just need a few more rent payments. I'll be okay. That AI agent is going to be like your coach. And it's going to be like, hey, guess what? In 2 months, you start a different job. I got you a better job. You're like, oh my God, that's amazing. But how can something look for work in the whole economy, understand my skill set, and set up jobs for me it knows I'm going to be really good at? Oh, how could it not? Of course it's going to. That's what AI agents do.
Yeah.
It can scan half the internet in half an hour. It can look at every single job listing. It can predict out what jobs are growing and what jobs are contracting. We're entering this AI world, and I think what we're doing is entering it without understanding how much AI is going to empower us to succeed in that world. And it's needlessly negative. Do you guys imagine telling someone in the 1990s that like you're going to operate a supercomputer every single day, and what number one response you would have received is like, dude, I slept through C++ in college. I have no idea how to talk to a computer. Like, you're saying we're all going to be Star Trek? Like, okay,
Right.
Operation 1 IOC3, okay, execute computer, and the computer gives you numbers, and you somehow know like machine like language and stuff. No, none of that. What people didn't realize is computers are so UI UX friendly in the 2020s. It's just fun pictures of fun faces you click on and music comes out. That's how you fucking interact with a computer. So when we talk about, oh my God, this AI future, AI is going to be a video avatar, incredibly wise, infinitely patient conversational partner that is all of your best interests at heart and does all the legwork for you anyway. That mixed in with the whole jobs thing, that's a different world altogether. If it's going to find out how you're going to be useful, it's going to do a real good job of that. If we just leave you out with no computers to try to go get a job in this post ASI world, yeah, you might like fucking run around and find nothing at all.
Yeah, I agree. Joe and I were talking about how, every company is trying to push their own AI agent, but eventually what's going to happen is we'll have our own personal AI agent. And when we join a company, it's going to know what information to search for, how we learn, what are our weak points of ourselves, and basically allow us to onboard much faster at an organization. And I think that's going to be great. And also just being able to search for new job opportunities for you that fit your unique wants and needs, instead of just going to LinkedIn Jobs and having to crawl through everything, is just definitely, it's an improvement. So Dr. Mike, thank you so much for joining. This time went by too quickly. Super duper appreciate it. For all who are watching, click. You can have a link right here to watch round 2, part 1 over here. Or if you want to go to round 1, part 1 on Dr. Mike's channel, go there too. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a good day. Thank you. See ya. Peace.